Hey everybody, for my subscribers, welcome back. If this is your first time tuning in, how's it going? So today I came out here to test the recovery boards that I recently altered. If you didn't catch my latest video, I took my gray set of recovery boards that are exactly like my orange set here, and I altered them by taking some broadhead machine screws and some nyloc nuts, drilling out the cleats and putting those through there and then grinding them down, doing a crisscross cut on the top of them, hopefully to give me more traction, and that will maybe give me something like MaxTrax Extremes. I don't know, we'll find out. So that's why we're out here today, to test those. And so they looked exactly like these orange ones here. I'm sure you've probably seen me take them out a few times, but this is what I came up with. Get a little closer there so you can see. I've replaced 48 of the 72 lugs on there, and I ground the top of the screw down and then did a crisscross cut on there, like I said. And hopefully these give me the traction that I need, but we'll see. We're gonna give these a test, and yeah. So one of the other things that I don't think I've ever mentioned is when I come out here by myself, I always bring extra gear with me. I come prepared to possibly end up spending a couple of days wherever I may potentially get stuck. And I have radios, camping equipment, you name it. I'll show that stuff real quick, but I want people to know that I don't go out here just willy-nilly and expect to just off-road, have fun, never get stuck, and be lucky every single time. That's not the case. That's never the case. So I always come out here prepared, and I want to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to show you the stuff that I normally bring with me. As you can see, I've got a tote full of stuff here. I've got snacks tucked in there, pardon all the camera equipment, but I've got a 0-degree sleeping bag, there's first aid, food, tent, pretty much everything that you could possibly need in there. I'm set up to camp for a couple of days. I also have in the back here 2 gallons of water with me, always, a shovel. My recovery boards are usually back here as well. That entire tote is full of camping stuff, lighting, also tools and recovery equipment. I have recovery equipment right there, as well as a camp stove. I have more food back there. It's not very organized right now, but I want you guys to know that I always come out here prepared, and I don't want people to think that I'm just coming out here and doing all this stuff thinking that there's never going to be any issues, because that's not the case. I always show up prepared. Also, before we get started, I wanted to show what my front tires look like before we started. There's already some cut marks on there, but that's because I drive over a lot of really sharp rocks. And I'll go around to the other side here. But I just wanted to go ahead and show what the tire looked like before I drove over those metal spikes. That way we could see if there was any new damage to the tire. This one actually looks pretty good. Okay, so I've got the car lined up. I've got the traction boards laid down. I only put the orange ones down there so I wouldn't drag my back bumper. Last couple of times I tried this, I snagged my back bumper, and I really don't want to rip that off today. So I only put those there so I don't drag my rear bumper, but I put the gray ones there on the steepest section. This is the part where I always get wheel spin, and so I'm going to go ahead and try this, and hopefully I don't get any wheel spin on those traction boards and I just climb right up this. even though I didn't actually make it up that, I wanted to show you guys. So the lugs still look just fine. They don't look compromised in any way, like they got ripped out or anything. There is a little bit of blackness on them from spinning the tire. But as you can see here on the rear tire, there is a little bit of scraping on the tire, but there's no actual like gouges out of the tire. So I don't think it's actually aggressive enough to do any damage to these things. So I'm okay with that. Sorry, Rally Armor. That's the third one now that's ripped off. I guess they're all coming off. Oops. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and reset and try this again. I'm gonna do it at a little bit more speed. I think what happened is I just lost my momentum, and once I got to that point, they just didn't want to go any higher because I just didn't have the momentum to push it any farther. So I'm gonna go ahead and try it again. No issues that time. That works pretty well. Won't know until I review the footage, but I think that turned out exactly how I wanted it to. I was just airing down, and this is where the mud flap was. It's a passenger side rear. So yeah, I'm gonna take the other one off when I get home and take the bracket off. So I guess I won't be running mud flaps anymore. Okay, so I found a little snowbank here, and it's basically going up pretty steep right here. I imagine if I tried to climb it with the car, I would get some wheel spin. I'm actually going to try it without the recovery boards first, just to see if I can do it. And if I can, I'll obviously move to something else, but we'll give this a shot. And if I get some wheel spin without the recovery boards, I'll throw those down there, and then I'll see if that helps me climb up this ledge. So we'll go ahead and give that a shot. Well, I would say the Crosstrek can mitigate that snow pretty easily. So yeah, I guess we'll move on to something else. Okay, met some people up here in a Jeep. They ran into this obstacle here and didn't want to continue further. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot. There is gravel on the passenger side, but snow on the driver's side, so there shouldn't be any issue. Yeah. No issues. That was actually where I was getting stuck the last few times. So yeah, onward and upwards. It's funny that a Jeep stopped right there, but he did say that he wasn't very experienced in off-roading, and to be fair, there's like a 20-foot drop-off next to the road right there. So I don't blame them for not wanting to do that. But I did it just fine, so I imagine they're probably going to come up it just fine as well. I was going to stop and record it, but I'm sure they'll be fine. Okay, so here I am at this section of the road. I was almost through, and I hit a section where I got high centered, and then these mud terrain tires just started digging, and so now I am officially high centered. And now I actually need my recovery boards. So this is a real world test. Let's see how we do. Okay, this should be quick and easy. Like I said, I am high centered, but just barely. And the Jeep has caught up behind me. So I'm gonna try and make this lickety split, and we'll get the heck out of here. So I'll use my gray recovery boards, probably behind my front tires because those are the most stuck, and then I'll use my orange ones behind the rear tires. Always gotta dig snow, never fails. That's behind the tire. I'll get these behind the back tires, and then give it a shot. This snow, if you want to call it that, is not really like your traditional snow. It's quite warm out, and so this snow is very sticky. So you get into it and you cannot drive. It has a tendency to just grab a hold of like the undercarriage in this example, and it won't let go. Not all snow is the same. That's always a good thing to note if you're out and about by yourself. Got traction on two corners, not on the other side. I may actually be stuck here. Might have to get this Jeep behind me to help pull me out. So I wouldn't say that these are MaxTrax Extremes based on the videos that I've seen online, but I would say that this is a vast improvement over the regular plastic lugs on it. So overall, I'm pretty happy with my decision. Oh yeah, we're moving. There it is. There it is. Yeah. Well, they didn't work as well as I thought they were going to work. I did spin my tires on them quite a bit. However, I feel like if these were still the plastic lugs, I don't think I would have gotten out of that at all. I was to the point where I was at the very end of my suspension travel. So all my suspension was at full droop. I was completely high centered, and being able to get these in the correct position behind the front tires, that made all the difference. I was able to get out. Whereas I feel like those, when they get wet, they just don't have any traction. And so I think this is a fantastic test. I'm pretty happy with my alterations to these, and I might go ahead and do that to the orange set too. It just, I don't know, it's kind of nice. Anyway, I might go back down and see if I can't find some more stuff, but honestly, I think this is a pretty good test, at least for me. So anyway, let's get these packed up. So this is the side that slipped the most on the recovery board, and so you can see that there's some gouging here. I would say it's superficial at best. You wouldn't want to do that all the time, obviously, but I think in an emergency situation where you're stuck, I don't see anything wrong with tearing up your tire a little bit. Yeah, again, you wouldn't want to do that all the time, but if it were necessary, I feel like this is acceptable damage. All right, well, I think that's gonna do it for today. I only got a couple of tests done with those recovery boards, but I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. The only thing I didn't really test with it is to see if structurally I compromised them in any way, so like bridging a gap with them, but they seem to be acting just like they used to act, so I don't think I'm gonna have to test that. However, I'm sure I probably will end up testing that in a future video, but other than that, I feel like these things have been tested pretty well today, and I'm really happy with it. So If you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you.
Good job. Good job. I'm doing good. And you happy boy? Happy boy.